Hello YouTubers out there, this is Frederick Lopez, the Dark Knight of Steel, and today I'm going to be showing you my Smallville Retrospective, starting with my DVDs through Season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, plus, so far, the review of the Season 11 comic books. In honor of Man of Steel coming out this week, I will show you Smallville and my thoughts on them, on the DVDs, the seasons themselves. I may not go full into detail because I would take like an entire week, but just kind of like my Batman retrospective and like my feelings and attitudes towards him and during the time that took place and overall its legacy and its everlasting effect it's had on me and my life. I don't care how you do it, just save, come on. I don't know the rest of the song, it's just Hey, what's up YouTubers? I know there's an unmade bed in the background and a shoddy lamp, but that lamp was light that I got at Goodwill, Eiffel Tower. But Smallville was a show I remember premiering in 2001 on the WB, and I didn't like it at first. I have to be honest. I remember watching the Christopher Reeve films, the first two at least, on HBO as a child. And I remember watching Lois and Clark with my mother, with Terry Hatcher and Dean Cain. But then by the time Smallville was around, I was like, oh, that's supposed to be like younger Superman. And I was just kind of mad, 'cause I was just like, why is Superman in high school? I kind of liked him, like, you know, kind of like everyone's thoughts originally, maybe. Like, it's like, why is Superman in high school? And then part of it is going to sound dumb. I didn't read the comics as much, but I actually thought, because I didn't watch the show just like from previews, that Lana Lang was Lois, and I thought it was like him meeting Lois in high school, like everything in high school, like the Superman. And that's what kind of got me mad. So when Lois was actually on the show in Season 4, I got kind of confused, and I like watch episodes every now and then. I remember they used to have the weekends with back-to-back episodes. The first episode I watched of the show was Season 2, Episode 4 of Red, where he's on Red Kryptonite for the first time. And then it was the one with the parasite, we're in the cave. With them being like affected and like fearless and everything, because I guess it had to do with Red Kryptonite with Pete. And then I remember watching the Season 4 premiere, and then didn't watch it until one fateful day. It was in September in 05, I think. Freshman year of high school, I was sick. I was supposed to have band practice on Thursdays, and I was sick that day. So I stayed home, and they had a 2-hour movie event with Crusade Season 4 finale and Arrival, the Season 5 premiere, and that was awesome. And from that day forward, I was into Smallville. I don't know if because I barely got onto the show, and they started showing reruns, but like from that Season 5 onwards, it was kind of more of a Superman show. So I guess it got to the Superman side of it, and that's why I started watching and kind of liked it. Foolish of me, shame on me. I actually watched the show, as a matter of fact, I watched like the rerun of Season 1 on WB before I went to CW, when they used to have like the reruns on Fox and WB during the weekends. And watched all of that till Season 2. And then one Christmas, I asked my parents, they had a pack of 1 through 4, and it's before they went down cheap. Like, it wasn't like now where you can buy them for $9.99, like they're still like $30. So for like $109, they had all 4 seasons. And this is before Blu-ray, so like, I asked to see if they could do that, and one Christmas they actually did. I was just like really surprised. So one Christmas I like watched Season 1 through 4 while 5 was still on, and caught up, and wow, it was more like, it wasn't Superman in high school, it was like before, but the way they did it was like so grounded in reality. It was almost like a Marvel version of Superman. But they just had, the brilliant part is, in the film, you have Christopher Reeves. You have the younger Clark Kent go in the fortress, and then like 10 years later, he's Christopher Reeve in the suit, and he like flies out. They don't really say what happens in those years, so like Smallville can kind of tap into different things that are not really that explored, while still paying homage to other films and the comics and cartoons and everything. So that was unique, and I liked the whole friendship between Lex and Clark and how they became enemies, and most of all, I liked the humanity in Lex. He wasn't just, I mean, he was actually really Lex Luthor, Like, he wasn't like, oh, here's this real estate scam, Superman, I'm gonna make all this money and blow shit up with an earthquake. I mean, it was like the real Luthor Corp. He was like the businessman, smart guy, almost like a genius, but then kind of maniacal, and then really calculative. But like the pit of humanity to him, and you could see why he became that way, especially with Lionel Luthor added. Now the characters they added, Lionel Luthor and Chloe Sullivan. Chloe Sullivan is like, wow, that character, I don't know, it's just so unique, and really you can see how Clark and her and Pete were friends at the beginning, and then adding in that that's Lois Lane's cousin, just kind of added in a new character that brought something new to being a friend of Superman. It wasn't just like, okay, there's Lois, there's Jimmy. Like, this is like Chloe Sullivan was just like another part that could be like with Clark and then be there for him when he's like in need. And it was kind of interesting with her like liking him, and then the whole Lana thing. The way they handled Lana and Pete was pretty good. Until season 5. And I don't know if it's because it's an annoying character or the fact, and this has nothing against Christian Crook, it's more of the writing. The fact that I was pissed off the most in season 5 when Jonathan died. And he went back in time, and then Lana went with Lex, and that whole love triangle just pissed me off. I understood why he did it, and I knew he wasn't going to end up with her because I read the comics. By that point, I did start reading the comics. I remember having the Smallville issue, or the Superman comic with the tornado, so that was interesting seeing that in season 1 at the end. And I still have it. The complete first season, and it's the Warner Brothers WB Presents in the back. Excuse me. In the back. And it was like a glass case. I remember reading. It had the discs. And yeah, it was interesting. And it's interesting now that Craving had Amy Adams in it, who's now Lois. But the pilot was great. I love how they did that. Him landing, and it was 1989, so it was like a more modern version of Superman. It wasn't like, here's the 50s, and I loved how they made Jonathan and Martha Kent younger. And they seem more real, and Jonathan Kent, John Snyder as Jonathan Kent, I was just like, wow, that's a full embodiment of Jonathan Kent, but like, he plays the part so well that like everybody could wish like they had a father like Jonathan Kent. So it made it even more sad with all the development that he passed away in that movie. In the season 5 on Reckoning on the 100th episode. It made that even more powerful and more dramatic. It wasn't like, oh, let's just kill this character off, like it served a purpose. And then even Clark was kind of in a limbo after that. I could see that. Like, the viewers are just like, as a viewer, I was just like, Actually, I was kind of hoping to get Lionel back. I did not like Lionel Luthor at that point. I was just really pissed off because he had Martha Kent going to Lionel, Lana going to Lex, and just like, damn it, Clark, there's just like nothing going good for him. And they're like, each of the women in his lives are going to the Luthors. And I kind of see W soap opera drama aspect, but yeah, I'll get back to that later. Hothead X-Ray. I love how they had his powers throughout the show almost activate through like puberty and his like development as a teenager. That was cool. And I liked how X-Ray, I mean, I like seeing through walls and stuff, but how his X-Ray was actually really X-Ray, where you're just like, but they have some of the see-through thing. And then some of the flying early on was cool, but like, yeah, the first season, it's not like the rest, but it reminded me more of the Freak of the Week, almost like an X-Files type of feeling mixed in with like some of Roswell and Buffy. But like it's kind of like Dawson's Creek relationship-wise, but it's not. I mean, it's not to that extreme. It's just like you could say it's like Dawson's Creek, but it's not to that extreme. It's more. I felt it was more Roswell and X-Files more than anything. But with Buffy, it's definitely that WB vibe. But Hourglass was a good episode with the lady, and you see the future. That was just nuts. And then with like Lex Luthor as president of the United States, and he caused the lady to die. Jitters was nuts. I like the soundtrack on this show. It has some good soundtrack. Rogue, and then Shimmer. Hug was good with Iceman, Jimmy Olsen's twin brother. The Lightning. Zero is a good episode. Nicodemus. And now, I think this is why I like the show, because when I started watching it, I didn't like it before, but when I started watching it, I was a freshman in high school, and I think I just had to be the right age to really appreciate the show. It's almost like I wasn't the right age when the show came out in 2001. I was like 10 years old. Where like I had to be the right age to really appreciate it. But not only that, just look at the way the world was after. It was just a perfect show, like in a post 9/11 world and everything. It's kind of great to see a superhero, mostly Superman in like a modern world, and then kind of him being vulnerable, where it's like, can I do this? Can I be this hero? Just have him doubt himself, like and then feelings of loneliness and just everything people go through in life. Clark Kent embodied in that show. Reaper Obscura. What episode was it? Oh, I did like that, or that lady. They mentioned Cadmus Labs. It's weird. This is one of those shows where they mention a lot of stuff in the comics and stuff, but they mention a lot of stuff that actually plays a bigger role later in later seasons that you don't really realize until you rewatch the whole series, which I did twice. Watch it straight through from season 1 to 10. There's a lot of little things they hint at early on that really play a bigger role in the later on seasons. I mean, it's just amazing. The Cadmus Labs. And had that lady, she was like sleeping with Lionel, and then they're trying to get after Luthor's, and she was with her daddy. And she was just like, we could have been great together, Lex. And then he's just like, I plan on being great all by myself. I mean, that was just like, damn, you kind of saw how brutal Lex could be in the business role, but you kind of saw like the future Lex Luthor there, just a little bit. But that ending, I mean, with the whole Remy Zero being there from the actual theme, and then the tornadoes, there's like the guy trying to expose Clark for his powers in Metropolis, and then Lana there, and she's just like, Clark, and then she's like, Lana, and it's like, and then to be continued. Oh, I mean, it was just so crazy. Meanwhile, season 2, a really big step up in developing Clark's abilities, has Christopher Reeve. Now, I remember in 6th grade that episode was on. I didn't watch it, but I didn't get a chance to watch it because it was on a Thursday, and I totally forgot about it because back then I was like at homework and video games and playing with friends outside of lightsabers, where I totally missed it, which I regret because I wish I really would have caught it. I totally forgot about it. And unfortunately, it was before DVRs, or I could afford a DVR, my family, and we had satellite cable and everything, just like before DVRs and TV were a big deal, you know? And I didn't even record it on VHS until season 6 when I watched it every week habitually. But I remember that episode is a big deal, and rewatching that season is a good continuing, and then with Hamilton, Bennett Dyson from Terminator 2, Pete knowing his secret now. I remember seeing the episode I first saw with Red, but that Christopher Reeve moment is probably like one of the best, if not the best, moment of the entire series. It's almost like a passing of the torch from one Superman to another, and it's just like, Kal-El, I've been waiting a long time for you. And then he talks about, it's like, why me? It's just like, well, how come the world was destroyed? It's like, is it really that hard to imagine with war, famine? Just look at the world we live in today, and it just really brings that question back to us in modern day. I like the whole Martha getting pregnant thing. That was a neat twist, but like that ending, I did not see coming at all. He destroyed the ship of Kryptonite without telling Jonathan and Martha, caused them to lose the baby, and the way Jonathan was, where he's just like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. She's like, leave me alone or something. But I mean, that wasn't his exact words, but the way he looked at Clark there, like Clark said, like he was an alien and didn't belong there, it made him get red kryptonite, which is deep. And then him breaking up with Lana. And then ends with Jor-El saying, you will obey me, Kal-El. And then it has him on the motorcycle going to Metropolis. That was just a powerful ending that I did not see coming. And kind of got more of Lex and Clark's friendship here, and with Sagith, the legend. And then I love it, this part where Lex, well, season 1, there's one friend episode where it's just like, you think we'll ever be like that? Because these two guys were once friends and turned enemies, and then he like turns over to Clark and he's just like, I believe our friendship's going to be the stuff of legends, Clark. And then with Queen Bee, where he's running for class president, I like it where he's just like, why don't you just use my catchphrase? I always wanted to be president. I find that interesting because he's like president, and he says like, why don't you use his catchphrase, man of tomorrow? And like Lex gave that name to him. So that was really cool, I thought. But I like season 5. I like some of season 8 and 9. But the most perfect, probably greatest season of the entire show, and I don't know, I might get some slack for this, but I think it is really dark, is season 3. Season 3 of this show is superb. Starts off with Clark has red kryptonite. I mean, it's just like you feel bad. They have more Lana drama, but it's not like it was in the later seasons. Like this one's more like Clark has to fix everything that went wrong at the end of season 2, and it's like the whole season of him struggling with that. Meanwhile, parallel to that, you have a lot more of Lex's backstory, see his past, and just like more of him getting just fucked up in the mind, and then just more stuff with his dad, and it's just like, oh, you feel sorry for him in this season. And with Lionel, and then he like the electroshock therapy, Clark was almost going to save him, and like Lex found his identity. And he didn't get there in time because there's like all these other meteor freaks in Belle Reve that he put up. It was like Jonathan Taylor Thomas, Iceman, and the guy from Desperate Housewives that even Longoria was messing around with. But yeah, the guy's on Dallas now. But it's just nuts. And then he just like the electric shock therapy, and Lionel's just like, do it again. And he's like, shh. So he almost killed his own son for that. I mean, it just shows how evil this bastard is. Yeah, it's just then you bring it with Jonathan getting Clark back and making a deal with Jor-El in his heart. And it kind of brings in that, oh, Clark was responsible for that. And there's just so many good episodes. Slumber is one really cool one. I like how in all the dream sequences, though, they have songs by REM, meaning REM Sleep, Rapid Eye Movement Sleep. And they have songs by the band REM, so that's really cool. And, what episode is... I'm going to see the episode. It's one episode with Adam. Yeah, he dates Lana. It seems like every boy Lana dates, every man Lana dates turns out to be a real jerk or really bad. Like the opposite of Clark. Crisis! Yeah, the Crisis Hotline. They get a call from Lana and it begins with her getting shot. And turns out it is not... It's like from the future, so they have to like stop it throughout the whole episode. It's so X-Files. I love it. And then with him and his memory, and then the finale. Wow, that finale has to be one of the best finales, probably with 9. I like 5 as well, but like 9. But like the ending, I mean, and then Pete leaving because of the FBI investigating, and then like Lex, it's just so sad. It's like, you aren't going to be here senior years. Like, I'm sorry, Clark, I have to go. And it's just like, ah, Lana left for Paris. Like, it almost ended, like, okay, I'm going to tell you this right now. If they want to do a straight storyline without all the extra stuff, it could have really ended after season 3, and then Clark off to college or to the Fortress after, because like it pretty much almost set up for him to be Superman right after that. But after that, you get a fake Kara, fake Supergirl. She's not there yet, and Clark gets taken by Jor-El, retrained. Meanwhile, there, Lionel, you find out Lionel murdered his own parents, so like Lex gets him for that and everything. Clark testifies, and they're kind of enemies, so you figure out that Lex spied on Clark and has like all this stuff on him in this room. I'm like, aw, that's really wrong. But they should have told each other the truth and it might have been okay, but really no, because like one's like really obsessed and then kind of has like a dark side and one doesn't. But Lionel just freaking, just like a Godfather type scene. It's like they're there and it has Mozart's Requiem playing, and like Lionel's just like, do it. And he, like the guy's shaving his head. You see Chloe Sullivan go to this house and boom, blows up. Her safe house blows up. Lex gets poisoned, falls through a glass table. Jonathan gets like hurt by Jor-El, and then like Martha's running out there, and then there's like this huge fire on the on the field. It's like we truly don't find out it's the fire Kryptonian symbol for Crusade, which sets up season 4. And then it has like this triangle, like basically the Superman shape, and like Clark all Terminator style naked there, lying down. It's just like, hello, my son, you shall be reborn. And then Mozart's Requiem ends, and it goes on the cloud, and that's where it ends. Then season 4. It's actually one of my least favorite seasons besides season 7, but it's actually, I don't know, they're like, I wish I could just like, I don't know. It's okay, it's just a lot lighter, you can tell they did it, but the whole witch thing, it's just like, And Lois is introduced, but it's pretty cool because you have Kal-El there. He's not himself, he's more like Kal instead of Clark. And it's just like, who are you? And then she like finds him, it's like, Lois Lane. And it's just like, Lois Lane, Clark Kent. Chloe's actually alive, there's a whole witch thing. And, it's sad. Christopher Reeve's character Virgil Swan died. It's like during the death of Christopher Reeve, so then they pay homage to that as Virgil Swan in one of the episodes. And the ending, that ending with his graduation, the commencement, is just nuts. Oh, I like Crypto too with Shelby, the Crypto the Superdog, but like that finale, that's the first episode I saw, because it was the finale of Commencement and Arrival, the premiere for season 5, that pit as one movie. So I like saw like that as like, that was my first experience of like watching Smallville habitually onwards after that, and it was just so awesome. And then Crusade as Cal, you got to see him fly for the first time, which still looks better than like most of the flying in Superman Returns and even the finale. I think it's because you actually have a real person there. It makes a difference. So I want to see how Man of Steel's going to do it. But that was good. And then Season 5 ends. Season 4 ends. Gets the crystal, throws it, goes to S.H.I.E.L.D., and then Season 5 begins there and then lands, and it's the fortress, and it's like, Kal-El, one journey has ended. Another is about to begin. And then new intro. Besides Season 3 and some of 8 and 9, really, my personal favorite, Season 5, as I like to call Superman in Training. Very good season. I like it from the premiere. And then with Brainiac, Milton Fine, James Marsters, Spike from Buffy being Brainiac was just really awesome. I really loved it. And they had more lows there than Lana. Lana probably looked the best with Clark there at that season. It was just really good. And then Lex, and then the whole Senator run was crazy. I like Lexmas. That's one episode that's a standout. But before that, I like, Splinter with a black kryptonite. That was just like crazy. And then Stereophonic Superman playing from the Metropolis mix of Smallville. Really good. And then Hidden, or not Hidden. Is it Hidden? Then after that, you just had a really crazy episode with Martha almost dying, and then Milton Fine actually being Brainiac really bad, and then that fight in the fortress was cool. But then it just a haunting music where like Clark's worried because basically at the beginning he became human. Oh yeah, he died in Hidden. It was Hidden, that's right. Nuclear bomb, one of the most awesome moments. And I didn't know he couldn't fly until later in Season 7 where he's like, oh, I can't fly, Supergirl, even though girls mature faster and like Supergirl can fly. I'm like, what the hell, he didn't fly? That was just like a crazy super jump? I thought he freaking flew, seriously. There's a missile go up in the air and just like, and then goes up and then like, stops in space and then like gets it off and then throws it. Cool homage. Not exactly the same, but kind of homage to Superman the movie with the nuclear missile. I really loved it. But that one episode where like, basically after that, he, I'm sorry, I'm like really on a tangent here. I just had some Coca-Cola Zero and really hyper. But he makes a promise to Jor-El to come back for the Fortress training, and he doesn't, becomes human, and ends up dying. Because of that, he had to be resurrected back with powers, and because of that, there had to be a balance, so one person he loves the most, close to him, is going to die. And he phrases it's his mom, and then at the end of that episode, he's like asking Jonathan Kent, he's like, how can I stop that? Or he's like, well, how can I deal with that? And he's like, well, Clark, just appreciate the people in your lives while you have them. And then there's just this haunted music that ends with just like Jonathan Kent smiling at his son, giving him advice like always, but it's just like really haunting, because like if you're aware of the other incarnations of this character, you know that Jonathan Kent's gonna die. So by the time you get to the 100th episode, he asks Lana to marry him. Everything's going perfect the first half, and then like Lex gets in an argument. It's like, oh, you still chose him over me. It's like he told you his secret. It's like really obsessive, like basically evil Lex, like the regular Lex Luthor we all know, and she caused her to die. Lex finds out the abilities, and just Clark is a wreck. Relives a day over, but doesn't tell her his secret. She is mad at him, but basically everything just bad happens the second half. She's just like, shit. And Jonathan Kent gets an argument with Lionel and then has a heart attack and dies in Clark and Martha's arms. It is just like the most heartbreaking, heart-wrenching moment in television. I know it might be overrated, but seriously, if you watch this episode Reckoning and do not cry, then you're not human. Seriously, you are not, because like that, even now, it's just still a sad episode to me. But that first one, I was just like sad and like really pissed off at the same time. I was just like, I hope Clark gets that bastard. I was just so mad. And it gets worse in Season 6 with the whole Lana-Lex triangle, Klexana, and just like, Anyways. After that, Clark's kind of in shambles. You have Vengeance, a good episode where there's still his dad's watch and he wears it. But that last scene there where Clark's like, Martha's watching the old videos, home videos, and it has Jonathan on the tractor during winter with Clark. And Clark just like has the father's watch, and there's this one touching moment where like there's just one tear that comes down Clark's face, and he just shows Jonathan Kent, John Snyder's Jonathan Kent saying bye-bye to like the camera, and I was just like, oh, that was sad. And you had like a Saw type of episode that Tom Mullen directed that was really good. And then Brainiac coming back, and him in Honduras is just like really good story. But Lana breaking up with Clark, or Clark vice versa. Lex gets this woman to hypnotize Clark, and that's just like, God damn it, what a bastard. Lex is really, I mean, yeah, he's gonna be evil Lex, but like, it's just like really gets on your nerves, and it's even worse when you watch it straight through because these guys used to be best friends, and like, this is happening. But Lexmas was a really great episode. It's almost like a Christmas Carol Scrooge type episode, but I liked it because even though it had the whole Lana thing with Lex, it really showed that because of Lana, I know she gets a lot of flack as a character, because of Lana, she's the reason why Lex became bad and Clark became the reason he became, like, Superman. I mean, Lois was there for him and stuff, but that's what really put them both on different trajectories, and I love that episode. And even with the whole real Santa saying all people do now is whine, 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 and bitch, 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 and like he saves Santa Claus on Christmas, shows his ideals and morality in the world we live in, and I love that fact. So it really shows the characteristics of both these characters and like the two different trajectories they're on and how parallel they are across from one another as hero and villain. And that ending though with Zod, Lex gets possessed by Zod. Oh, and then he's like in the Phantom Zone, and it's just like that's where it ends. And then like Metropolis is on fire, and he's like in the trench coat, like all badass, turns over, kisses Lana, and it has it ended there. And it's like, oh my god! And I just cannot believe that ending. It's the last episode of on the WB. But most of all, before Superman Returns came out, I was just like, how are they going to continue it? I was just like mind blown because I wasn't sure if it was coming back or not on the CW. And it did. And it added a character I was not familiar with at the time. Which I'm glad I am now because he has a show of his own now. His name is Oliver Queen, the Green Arrow. But, like, okay, I'm going to show you this. Season 6 is alright, but, like, after 5, I just think it had a tough time to follow. Because, like, okay, look at Clark here. Awesome, heroic, and then he's just like, I'm here. It was literally that feeling, that Clark's facial expression on the thing. But the Zod thing gets taken care of right away. But then Lana's with Lex, and then the whole love triangle we all know, and I don't feel like going into that crap. Then she finds out Clark's secret. It's not going to marry him. Then Lionel's just like, if you don't marry my son, I will kill Clark Kent. And she marries him. There's this one sad part where you think he's proposing. It's actually talking to the dog, and he goes there, and she marries Lex. She's like, why? And it's just like this real crazy moment. But before that episode, Lex, he's such a bastard. Like, seriously, he just tells Clark, he's like, I'm inviting you to the wedding. I want you to be there just so you know what you lost. And it's just like, what a dick. Seriously. And, he's like going after, taking Lana away. And then Lois, she's like under a love potion thing, and he's on red kryptonite, so she's like, I'm your future, Clark. She's your past. And then he's like, and this is a present. And I was like, oh my god, red kryptonite Clark's funny. But, that's just a crazy episode. You have Martian Manhunter introduced, all these Phantoms. Okay, he gets out of the Phantom Zone. There's all these different Phantoms, so like before he like continues his training with Jor-El, he has to stop the Phantoms. So it's almost like the Freak of the Week type of thing in season 1 and 2, but with Phantoms. And I like that aspect, so kind of reinvented it. And then Green Arrow there is just like really cool. More Justice League. Justice, the episode Justice was really awesome, especially the end with the music and then walking in the row. It was like, and then dun 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 dun. That was awesome. And then by that finale, it was okay. I was just kind of like, this show's okay. I don't like it as much as last year. Labyrinth was a crazy episode too, though. I mean, I knew it wasn't true, but some parts of that, like, maybe this is the angle they're going with. Since Smallville's not like the Superman comics, maybe this is the angle they're going to go with for the episode. And, like, Lex is there, it's like, I saved you, Lex. It's like, you stupid son of a bitch, you called this saving me, and he, like, doesn't have any legs, and I was just like, ah! But, it's good. Oreo cookies. A lot of wrestlers. Batista, Kane. Oh, Kane. That was a good fight in Crimson. Might have been Crimson, maybe not. And then whole Lex and Clark in the tunnel and them going out, and then like her touching Lana, and then her going with Lex, and then the whole ending. I really thought Lana died. And then it was okay, but I did like Bizarro, their version. It wasn't like, me Bizarro #1 and dumb. It was like, it's like, I'm you, only a little bit more bizarre. And then the way, like, threw Clark out and those flying, it's like, cracked face, to be continued. Loved it. And then season 7, which I thought was going to be the last season, and they said Clark was going to fly at first, but he didn't. It was okay. It started out okay. But Supergirl is the weakest link. I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but that and the whole Lana Clark thing, and then Clark can't fly, and the stupid episodes. It's my least favorite season, except for the second half. And by that I mean Lex's downfall to becoming the ultimate villain. He, like, kills his dad. It is just fucked up. I mean, okay, first of all, I knew that Lex was going to kill his father the moment of the season 1 finale where the tornado's there and there's the pillar's broken. He's like, Lex, save me! And Lex just has this crazy look with, like, blood going down his face. And it's like, oh man, this guy's going to kill his father someday if it's not going to be now. And I knew it, but anyways, it's like, I lived in your shadow long enough, now you're going to die under mine. And it's like, nobody's going to remember your name. And then he, like, basically throws him out a window like 70 stories, and he, like, dies without even blinking, looks at Lex, and it's just, like, really screwed up because, like, it shows a moment, and then it, like, does this, and the eye opens, and then he's like, he's bad now. But before that, it's almost like Lionel just, like, was happy that his son killed him because he's actually a Luthor. It's really screwed up. I'm just like, wow. But Lex has moments like that with the family earlier, like with the hostage. Martha was hostage, and it shows him hugging and stuff, and Lex is just in the background, just, like, looking. He always, like, wanted what Clark had. And that's shown in the finale. Oh, and before that, to add, Apocalypse was a really cool episode. It was like, you are the Traveler, Clark. And then he turned his back on him. It's like, I love you like a brother, but it has to end this way. And the fortress collapsed. And I was expecting more of a battle, but, like, yeah. But you can tell it was over with him and Lana way before, because Lana was affected by Brainiac. It's like, oh, Lana and stuff. And then when Chloe was affected by Brainiac, he, like, sees her eyes there, and he's like, Brainiac. And then he actually grows some balls in the season, and then, like, takes over Brainiac, electrocutes him, blows him up, and then it's there. Chloe gets arrested. It ends, and you're just like, oh, how's it gonna come back? I don't know. Producers left, Lana left, Lex left, and believe it or not, the show, people get a lot of people think it went downhill after season 7, but I disagree. Season 7 was such a stink fest that season 8, I got the diecast metal edition because I thought it was the last season. Season 8 was so much of a better season. Well, for one, I know you have Supergirl and Clark here, but this is like Clark Kent, Daily Planet, and Lois, like Lois and Clark, and I loved it. I mean, and Clark was much more proactive again. He wasn't like, oh, I can't fly, I can't do this, and he wasn't so whiny like it, and it was less of a soap opera without Lana, and, like, it really got to him being more proactive. He's at the Daily Planet, there's, like, Justice League stuff. Meanwhile, in absence of Lex, they had Tess Mercer, and then Davis Bloom Doomsday, which is one of the best incarnations of Doomsday I've ever seen. Except for the monster at the end. The fight thing's different, but I'm talking about the dimensions of the character. Because there's a very two-dimensional character in the comic books, and with them adding Davis Bloom, it was almost like a reverse Hulk, like an evil Hulk. And I love that element. And it was really good in contrast to Clark, because Clark, he's just like, I'm here, I'm going to save the planet. But Davis Bloom, he starts off as a paramedic saving people, and I find that interesting, because he starts off saving people, but yet he can't escape the fact that it's like, how can I escape me being a monster and me basically going to destroying the world? Me destroying the world. How can I, like, stop that from happening? I can't, and, like, he has to live with the fact that he's a monster and that he's going to end up destroying the whole world, no matter what. It's in his nature. He can't stop it. And it's greatly shown, even though I was mad at it at the time, when he gets split up by Black Kryptonite's Doomsday and Davis, is still in his nature and it kills Jimmy, which is not the real Jimmy, it's Henry James Olsen. I was mad at the fact, but then after thinking about it, reading the comics, James Bartholomew Olsen as the Jimmy Olsen, the real one. So when they said, oh, hello, Jimmy, and then in the season 6 premiere, and then he's like, oh, actually, it's James, Henry James Olsen. And it's like, oh, he made that point. I appreciate the season 8 finale more after rewatching season 6, and that whole thing is like, I should have actually gotten it. So I read the comics, I would have known that wasn't the real Jimmy Olsen, you know? So I hopefully with Jenny Olsen, the sister, they don't do some stupid thing where it's just like, even though I'm like, oh, where's Jimmy? But if it's Jenny Olsen, I don't mind. As long as it's like, oh, his sister gets killed and it's not the real Jimmy, and then Jimmy comes along. I hope they don't do that. They better keep it as Jenny Olsen, or like his sister and him come along, because like it would piss me off. And Lana coming back, I did not like. Actually, it was okay, but then the Lois and Clark kissing them there, but then the whole, she took away the momentum that was going with the Davis Bloom storyline for a while. And then they got to Davis Bloom, built it up a little bit, and then the fight just underwhelmed. It's just like, I didn't mind it, but that part in Requiem was screwed up. That was the most diabolical, evil way that Lex could have gotten back at Clark. By just pumping her full of kryptonite, and they couldn't be together again. That was just like a heartbreaking scene. I was just like, wow. Now I can see why they're enemies now. Like, pretty much before it was kind of solidified, but after that I can see why Clark and Lex are enemies now. Clark especially, like, we're trying to stop Lex Luthor, because it's just like, damn. Gets blown up, dies, which he does, and I knew that. Season 8 finale, I was so much looking forward to, but the battle... Okay, maybe they shouldn't have released it. They had these CW director's cut things, and they basically show the entire battle without effects. It's like a cardboard corpse of the real one. But what killed me more is that there was, like, 30 minutes of the show and, like, 15-minute commercials in between. Like, it was so bad that the Season 4 finale of Supernatural was much more better. And it was so bad, and then with them doing the Jimmy Olsen, that I was considering selling all my DVDs. I gave up on the show because it just ticked me off. Because I was just like, why did they do that? And I did not see it coming, and I didn't like it because it didn't pay off with all the build-up they were doing. Zod was there again. I'm like, oh, this is stupid. They already had Zod. But, one summer, Comic-Con, they showed the trailer, and he's wearing black, and he has a silver Superman emblem on his chest. And I'm like, I like this. And the best season besides 3 and 5, in my opinion, Season 9 of Smallville. Just look at that. I mean, that just looks badass. I just wish they had an action figure of it. I would hang it up in my room. Awesome season. Him and Zod against each other, all Matrix Revolution style. Good. The premiere took a while. I have to admit, the episodes were good, but I just had a Spider-Man 3 type of vibe from it at the beginning. It was just very dark and different. But the episode Candor, from there onward, is where it really hit for me. And then you kind of saw the backstory of Zod, why it became bad, the whole Kandorian thing, the Major Zod. I really love that aspect of it. It added something different, and plus it added an element of him trying to save Zod. And the fact that he knows he's going to be a monster, he knows he's going to be a bad person, but could he still have a chance to save him? Like, if you think of other historical figures like Hitler or somebody really evil, you know what they're going to become. Would you try to kill them, or would you try to actually save them, and maybe they could become somebody else than bad? Is it in their nature to become evil from the get-go, or can they change under different circumstances? Can they be a good person? And I love that dynamic. And it was very Superman Year 1, that episode, and then Lois and Clark, and then Crossfire, homage to Superman Returns, and then with Ollie, he's just like, oh, Ollie and Lois are going to be together, and then he just kisses Lois, and he's just like, oh, it was great. The Wonder Twins were great. It was funny with the monkey, with the homage to the Super Friends, but, Metallo, Brian Ashton Green, Colin Blue as Zod it took me a little bit of getting used to, but you have to admit, he was awesome. Like, he was awesome. Like, if Tom Welling was a Superman that could be followed by Christopher Reeve, Colin Blue would be the Zod to follow Terrence Stamp. Like, it's weird. It's almost like they're the perfect embodiments but for the 21st century, if that makes any sense, for like the next generation of them. Perfect embodiments, and Absolute Justice was sweet. I loved it. A little bit cheesy, but Dr. Fate was cool. So cool. And then Martian Manhunter was back again, and Clark and Lois, and it was just much more proactive. I loved it. And then it has some filler type of episodes towards the second half that I was just like, But Persuasion was one episode that had one freaking awesome end with the towers falling. It's like, I know people said that wasn't Superman-like, and it reminded them of 9/11 and everything. They're just like, oh, why does Superman do that? I know, but technically, if you saw how that future was with the red sun and everything, I think it was a good thing he did that, because he actually saved the entire world. You have to look at it in that way, instead of like the real-life parallels and then whatever, everybody's in it. It was under construction. Nobody was in it. It was just a grand opening. And, but they referred that later with the darkness in him and stuff, but I thought it was awesome. But maybe because I'm a Batman fan, so that stuff doesn't bother me. I'm just saying, it's bad, but when you have a freaking alien race about to destroy the whole world and take Superman's powers, I think it was kind of necessary myself, and I'm kind of glad he did that. It wasn't like, oh, I'm complaining here, should I do this? And then they turn on him, and it's like, no, he took some action and, like, stopped it. Good episode. Then Zod getting powers, I felt sorry that he died, but then when he got powers, it's like, he's bad. But that finale, what a difference a year can make, and I think, besides the writing, I tell you what it is. Thanks to Greg Beeman for that episode, because he's directed probably the best episodes of the show, and probably of Heroes too, and also like License to Drive and Mom and Dad Save the World. Not the best, not Oscar movies, but you know they're still pretty good movies. But I like his TV method, and then some of his episodes of Fallen Skies, because it has a cinematic edge to it that I just love. I feel like I'm watching a movie every time I watch one of his episodes that he directs. That Season 9 finale. Let me just tell you this. Man of Steel's going to add to it, probably. But unlike other Superman movies, Season 9 with the Kandorians, I actually felt like there was a threat to the world, and Superman had to stop it. Like, the other ones, there's like a bad guy, but it's like, yeah, Superman can stop him. Like, this one's like, no, there's a threat, and I feel like there's like grave danger and peril here, that Superman may not succeed. I mean, I was worried that the Kandorians were there, because Superman, he had to face against 3 Kryptonians and had a hard time. This is like a freaking population group of them. I'm just like, how is he going to do it? And he can't even fly yet. It was awesome, and I love the moment where he tricks Zod into saying, Zod's just like, oh, I made me kill my own child, and the Kandorians listen, they're like, what, he freaking killed Faora, his own child? And it's like, Kal-El was right. Awesome. And then the beginning with the Superman suit, the mom gave it to him and goes into the eye, I love that. And then the ending where it's just like, Zod is just like, it's better to rule in hell than to serve in heaven, and then like cuts Kal-El. Perfect fight. That was actually a fight, like if the Doomsday fight was like that, I would have loved it. Total homage to Matrix, and I love the little jacket move there with the trench coat, but I loved it where Zod, I remember Spider-Man 1, but like how villainous Zod was at the end. It felt like a movie. It's just like, unlike you, I will lead from the throne, not from the shadows. It's like every human, including the woman you love, will kneel before Zod. And then like Clark Sarah, just like stabs himself before he says, he's like, you already took my first home. I won't let you take another. And then it's just like, shh. And then like Zod thinks he's happy, and then Clark just like goes down, is like smiling, is like, haha, I won, you bastard. And then Zod's like, what? And then looks up, and then because the blue kryptonite stabbed him, it took him away. He's like, no! Then goes up, and then it just ends with him like a Messiah-like cross, then going down. It's like, to be continued. Then, the last season, Superman suit. Darkseid didn't have as much, but I'm kind of glad the way it ended, because it didn't have as much build-up as Davis Bloom. Meanwhile, perfect episodes of the entire show, but it was followed by some of the crappiest episodes of the entire show. For example, Lazarus, perfect. Shield, what the hell? And then the new Cat Grant was so annoying. I know she might have been supposed to be that way, but why didn't they have the Catherine Grant that was the announcer that was interviewing Oliver in the 200th episode, the one that was in the season 8? It just didn't make, or season 9, I mean, it just didn't make sense, and she was just a bad character. That was, okay, I know there's a lot of digs for Lana being like a bad character, but she's not. It's just the writing. She's a good character, and it kind of represents progression. But Cat Grant, hands down, the worst character of the entire show, Smallville, in my honest opinion. I did not like her. Now, Homecoming was a good episode, even more when you watch it all. And then the second half of the show onwards is perfect, and then the whole virtual world and a lot of homages to Hangover stuff, but they had fun because they knew they were gone. But that last episode, some of the effects weren't as good, but it was perfect because the last episode just built on it. And that last episode was worth it. I mean, Man of Steel looks so much better now because it's a film, motion picture, millions of dollars. But that last episode of Smallville was better than like some of the like past 3 Superman movies combined. And it paid homage to the Air Force One scene of Superman in the movie. It was just so good. The only thing I did not like, I did like that they had him in the suit, but I just wish it was a full head-to-toe suit, like seen from the Fortress, like a real one instead of CGI. But I still loved it. It was more than they gave me more than I was expecting. And then Lex coming back, and then like Clark saying, "I will always be there to stop it." He's like, "Oh, I'm counting on it." And it just shows us humanity of him wanting Clark to become Superman and stop Darkseid. Even though he wants to defeat him, he wants somebody else. He doesn't want somebody else to kill him. He still has humanity. He still doesn't want anything bad happening. And then him losing his memory, it was just like, oh my god, with Tess, it was so good. And then, but yeah, season 10, cover there. I like it, but I just wish it was on the side, but not too bad. You get to see the Superman Returns suit. You see the Superman suit there, but it was pretty good, but oh, when that Richard Donner music hit, it was just so good. It's like, that's when the boy became Superman, and then he takes off the glasses and then opens with a shirt and goes out. Perfect. I mean, I got goosebumps. I just thought it would have ended with him going over Earth like the movies, but I still didn't mind because it represented the beginning of Superman. The whole show, I mean, sure you want to see more stuff because it's such a great cast and crew. I almost wish there was a Superman movie or even a TV show with that cast. But it represented Clark Kent's progression to Superman in the beginning of that. It wasn't supposed to be Superman the whole time. It was Clark Kent's progression, and I loved it. But the rest of that series was good, and then Darkseid was really good. The wedding was intense. Always hold on to Smallville, and then them almost selling the house. Almost not getting married. Darkseid being there. I just wish there was a real Darkseid that was like a fight, but it's still pretty good, like I said, because it wasn't built up as much as Doomsday. But that ending, and then with Apocalypse, he just lifted. I mean, you could say what you can about this Clark being more vulnerable and then not flying, but like, okay. Superman Returns, he had a problem lifting a plane and like a Daily Planet globe. Smallville premiere of Lazarus, he freaking lifts the globe like a beach ball, and I know it's not the size of the globe in the movie, but in all fairness, the other Supermans have not lifted a freaking planet out of Earth's orbit. I mean, he lifted a planet of Apocalypse out of Earth's orbit at the end of that. It was insane. I just loved it, and I loved him flying, and then it was just perfect with the whole 7 years in the future. And I love the whole homage to Obama in an elevator, like in some of the old cartoons. And then Lex losing his memory is sad, but I almost would have liked it if he did know his identity. But the reason why they did it is because it explained why he didn't know him. That would have been a hard one, but like, I just wish, I'm kind of mixed feelings about it, because I'm like, oh, I kind of wish he kept it, because he would have explained why he was the person he was through experience. But still a great show. Not many shows have that strong of an ending. That show just like really, that ending made up for everything. All the ups and downs in life. It's almost like it doesn't matter how long a journey takes. It's the experience you have to get to the destination of where you're going. I mean, it really is like that. It was just great. I would have liked Metropolis. I would have even liked Tom Welling in the movie, so I want to see how Man of Steel is. I really want to like it, but I think they really would have had something if they had the Smallville crew. At least Michael Rosenbaum as Lex Luthor, Tom Welling as Clark Kent, Superman, and Erica Durance as Lois Lane. If they had those three in a movie, that would have made a lot of money, I can tell you that. And then build off Justice League from like Phil Morris as Martian Manhunter and stuff. Imagine James Marsters in that giant Brainiac robot voice. I would have got Michael Ironside as Darkseid. Again, even though he's Lois Lane's daddy. That's what I like about the show. A lot of the Superman cameos. You have Dean Cain in there. I love it when like Chloe's there and she's like, what are you, some Jack the Ripper wannabes? Like, I was Jack the Ripper. And they fight for a little bit. I'm surprised Brandon Routh wasn't on there, or Gene Hackman. Well, that doesn't surprise me, but I'm just saying it would have been kind of cool. But, or even John Shea. That would have been kind of cool. Or Clancy Brown. Even Tim Daly, I'm surprised. But, Christopher Reeve's cameo there. Margot Kidder had a cameo. Who else had a cameo? Somebody else had a cameo. Mark McClure had a cameo. Jimmy Olsen from the show played Daxter, creator of Brainiac. And Terrence Stamp plays Zod, plays Jor-El's voice. And Terry Hatcher plays Lois Lane's mother, which is kind of cool from the Lois and Clark, because each of the Lois Lane from the show played Terry Hatcher's mom, so like each of the Lois played their moms. It's pretty cool. Linda Carter played Chloe Sullivan's mom, played Wonder Woman on the 70s show. So there's a lot of homages there. I loved it. Great show. Until now, I'm getting this every week I can. The comic book season 11. This is what I really want to show off. If they don't make it, either make a motion comic with voices, or a video game, or better yet, animated series video. To continue this, Smallville, got the first issue of season 11. Number 1. Very good. The covers sometimes don't look like them, but they're really drawn like Tom Welling and all the actors, and it's just great. And then here's 2. He's going up a building, or sideways. And this is last year. Can't believe it's a year ago, and Dark Knight Rises was out. Him and Lois. Then they have like Cyborg Superman introduced. And like Lex causes radiation thing, which is why him and Lois can't be together later on. Even though they fix it now, so I'm kind of curious to see how come they're not married. But the main reason why I like it, from a Batman fan, is that Batman is introduced in the Smallville universe. I love it. And then he even has this red suit, like the bat emblem has the red rays of the kryptonite. And he has like the Superman Returns suit at first, and then it's kind of like New 52 mixed with some other stuff. Like the TV show, kind of combines a lot of things from the other thing, from other mythologies. And Barbara Gordon's Nightwing this time. It's really good. And then Impulse, aka Flash, is back, and you find out that the Flash from the Justice Society is actually a relative. I don't want to give away exactly who, but if you'll go out there and read it, or get the graphic novel when it's out. So they go after this thing, and this is where he wears a fusion suit, like after the Return of Superman. So that's pretty cool. Wears a blue fusion suit. And as of now, the next week, or this coming week, Argo Part 2 is out, but he goes to the future with Booster Gold and the Legionnaires. So, it's been great so far, and then Tess and Lex's subconscious, and there's just a lot of twists, and there's a lot more stuff they add on from the show. If you watch the show, it's like even greater. It was just like, wow, this is like a great continuation, and Brian Miller actually writes this story. He's one of the executive producers of the show, one of the showrunners of season 8 through 10, and does a pretty fine job, actually. As a matter of fact, I know there's like a whole bunch of writers, and it's great, but I can tell a lot of the comic book references of the show probably came from Brian Miller after reading these comics, because it's like, yeah, he's probably the guy who added like all the cool Easter eggs and everything that were on the show, and gave fans what they really wanted to see. So he's going to add Wonder Woman pretty soon, and then I saw a cover in DCComics.com that showed the Returns logo with the Doomsday fist through it. So I would like to see how it is, but so far it is fantastic. I'm collecting them to go along with my DVDs. I don't read comics every day, but this costs like $3.99. I've been getting them every time they come out. So this is like one of the few comic book series. Like, I mean, I just collect comics just for fun, but this is like the only comic book series where I'm actually collecting for the story like each and every week. Like, it's making me an avid reader. So it's really great, and it's kind of a cool medium to continue a story. So yeah, I hope to make a video game someday, or just like an animated movie. This should wait till season 11's over and do an animated cartoon with like Tom Welling's voice and all the voices from the show, but as a cartoon. That would be cool. I think that'd be really awesome. And it can be like an addition, like a Smallville motion comic or Smallville season 11, the cartoon series. So, it's nice. Retrospecting. I did not cover anything really in depth of it all. I could cover, I mean, you can get with your friends, other Smallville fans, and probably talk a lot more than what I just went through here. I just kind of babbled, but that's just my thoughts so far. I mean, I have so much more that could be like videos on videos. I could just review each and every single episode by itself, but it's nice to have a show about a little boy who grew up in a place called Smallville. So, no matter, I think Man of Steel's going to be fantastic, but no matter what, at least we'll always have, at least we can always hold on to Smallville. We'll have Clark Kent, have Superman, and I have to admit, Tom Welling did a fine job for a 10-year show, because really, he is probably one of the most perfect Superman. I know it's Clark Kent, it's like, oh, he's not Superman, but you don't get it, he's Superman. And it's pretty damn good considering he couldn't fly for the majority of that and did not have the suit, so that tells you something there. So, thank you to all the creators out there and people involved in making such a fantastic show. It's like one of my favorite shows in like a while. It's like, I mean, it's one show where I actually bought the DVDs. The first time I bought the DVDs just to see the show, and then watching a show every single week it's on. The only other show that did that in my life besides Power Rangers when I was a child is probably Batman the Animated Series. So, thank you for doing that. I'm doing that on other shows now. But like, that's one where I couldn't miss an episode. Like, if I missed an episode of Smallville, I would throw a fit. Like, it would upset me. So, thank you for giving us 10 great years. And I promise my next retrospective won't be so long and babbly. Be a little bit more focused, but feel free to comment your favorite Smallville memories or what you liked about the show or did not like or whatever down below. Dark Knight is Still signing out.